Hi, Jim Byrnes, Nassau Inn. Now I'm here with a very special individual, Wiliam Taylor from Princeton, New Jersey.
Hey, Jim.
We had spoke a little while back, and William has a very interesting story about a very famous alumni, so I'll let him take that away.
I was born in Trenton but raised in Princeton as a kid until I went to high school, and then I moved to Plainfield. But while I was here, there's an interesting thing that happened. I was 9 years old, and I was going up. Joe Fastenal, who used to own Andy's Tavern, used to give us kids bottles, empty bottles, and we'd take them uptown and get 2 cents a piece for them. And this is going way back. I'm 78 years old now, so it's going back to when I was 9 years old. But anyhow, I'm going uptown, going through the university with my roller skates. We all used roller skates or bicycles back then. And I had a bag of bottles, and I fell. And I cut my lip pretty good. And it was bleeding, and I was crying, I guess, and people gathered around me, and over come this old man. I do remember a little bit about it. I know he had a beard, and I know it had nicotine. I didn't know what nicotine was at that time, but I know now that it was a nicotine beard. And he took his handkerchief out, and he stopped the bleeding. And it took a little while, but he stayed right with me. And that's really all I remember until that evening. Some ladies come over to my grandmother's house. I was living with my grandmother and my mother because my dad was off the war. And we lived on Alexander Street, and it was, they call it road now, but it was street back then. And some ladies come over that night and said to my grandmother, "Margaret, do you know that Albert Einstein picked your grandson up and stopped the bleeding?" And that story has stuck with our family. I can't prove it now because everybody's gone just about, but it's a true story, and I'll never forget it. I always make the joke that I was touched by Einstein, but it didn't rub off. But anyhow, it's an interesting story. I love this town of Princeton. I love the Nassau Inn, and I met Jim 2 or 3 years ago and told him the story, and he was fascinated. But whoever I tell that story to, they seem to like it. I don't tell it a whole lot, but I'll never forget it. Let's put it that way.
Well, thank you very much for that. I certainly appreciate that, and it's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
Always.